A lot of the work that I've been doing over the past, it certainly feels like the past couple weeks, has been very extrinsically motivated. Um, I find that I'm doing a lot more of this, not necessarily for just the joy of doing the activity, but I am doing it because I'm looking for this sort of payoff down the road. And uh, it's an interesting consideration because a lot of researchers will tell you that when it comes to motivation, intrinsic motivation is really what lasts. It's the stuff that sticks around. It's the when you do something simply for the joy of doing a certain act, it's what brings you the joy. People that are constantly motivated just by the extrinsic, just by the desire that at some point in the future I'm going to get a payoff for what I'm doing, they tend to be less happy and they tend to be less fulfilled as individuals. And it's always been a bit of a paradox for what I do, and I think anyone that's really trying to achieve some sort of goal or some sort of ambition, because you're obviously doing something because you have the intrinsic motivation. Nobody, I don't think anybody chases a goal for an act that they hate. You're doing it because there is an intrinsic motivation. Usually, I imagine it's the intrinsic motivation that sort of sparks your interest. You happen to enjoy doing this activity a lot, a lot, a lot, and over the course of weeks and months and maybe years, it starts to click in your mind. Maybe I can turn this into some sort of viable thing. Maybe I can monetize this in a way. Maybe I can become this perhaps well-renowned artist or whatever you're going for. Maybe I can break this world record, whatever it might be. And for myself, I always tend to grapple with where that line needs to be, because you if you're going to achieve really anything, I think of any kind of greatness, you need to have both. Someone that is just purely intrinsically motivated, I don't think they're ever going to push themselves perhaps to the furthest extent that they can go. I think the idea of having some sort of goal, some sort of external thing that you need to hit for the payoff, for the reward, that's what pushes you a little bit harder. It's what makes you go just a little bit more than what you were going before. The person that's purely motivated by the intrinsic motivation, I tend to view that person as sort of a dabbler or as sort of a hobbyist. I've talked a lot about the mentality of like the person that plays like pickup basketball and the person that wants to go into the NBA. I always think of the person that's playing pickup basketball when I think of the intrinsic. The person that just, they have no real, there's no future set point, there's no future there's no actual goal or some sort of tangible deadline they're trying to meet, so you can just basically dabble. You can show up every day, just make your shots, and you build the skill of repetition. Obviously you built the skill of practicing, and you can do something intrinsically in practice with deliberate focus to improve the skill. But I just don't see someone purely intrinsically ever making it to the big time. You need to have some sort of blend of it. And what I'm realizing with the past few weeks is this is pretty much all extrinsic. I wouldn't say all. I'd say it's about three quarters extrinsic. It's me hitting the goal that I set for myself. It's me sort of doing this because I am looking for the long-term payoff. Now, obviously, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but if I did not have any sort of get deadline, no goal or anything like that, I would not be working nearly as hard as as I am now. It's simply because I put a sort of arbitrary deadline, a sort of arbitrary goal out there that I've hit this in a sense. And I I do think that if you're going to balance both, if you're going to have the extrinsic and the intrinsic, it tends to be like a wave. From what I found myself, it tends to be much more of the sort of fluctuation where you sort of do things, in a very intrinsic sort of just, do the activity every day because you're enjoying it. And then at some point, you start sort of motivating yourself. There's something comes up. There's a writing contest in like 6 months and you want to get a story submitted to it. There's, you hit New Year's and all of a sudden, all right, my New Year's goal is to get this book published. So you start putting in, the hours to get the book done. So that way you can start querying at the end of the year. There seems to be something where you tend to fluctuate, I think, between both those extremes. And going from the extrinsic to the intrinsic, that other side of it, going from the sort of, all right, hitting this goal to the relaxation point, that it feels almost like a bit of a rebirth. And it's something that I am kind of looking forward to in, like the next 6 months is, I'm hoping at least the next 6 months to have these sort of objectives, to have both these novels done and basically able to be querying the next 6 months. I'm looking forward to taking that sort of breath, that nice, sort of exhale, that that feeling of, all right, we're going to get back to writing here and we're just going to go back and be diligent about it, but we have no real aim necessarily, and we're just going to kind of enjoy the presence of just simply doing the writing. So I'm looking forward to that, but at the moment I am very thoroughly extrinsic.